Hello, everyone. It's great to be able to give this talk this afternoon. The title of the talk is Meet a UEL Professor, Meet a Psychology Professor. A little bit about myself to give you a sense of what is the daily job of a professor in psychology. I am a chartered psychologist. I'm a chartered psychologist with the British Psychological Society. So anyone that trains in psychology has to go through a number of stages to become accredited and recognized for their profession. It starts with undergraduate degrees that gives us the graduate basis for registration. And then in order to become a professional psychologist, there has to be further studies. They typically are at postgraduate diploma or master's, and later on one can engage in professional doctorate or actually a PhD. And once you have traveled through this journey where one acquires knowledge as well as skills and practice, someone can become a chartered psychologist. It is necessarily a highly regulated discipline, and I say necessarily because the profession of psychologist is part of adjusting people's well-being, supporting their growth, supporting their developments. So our training has to be robust, and it has to be in such a way that our own issues do not get involved in the work that we try to do. So as a psychologist, we are in a helping profession and therefore requires thorough training, but it's exciting training because it's anyone that studies psychology at any level will tell you this: it is a personally transformative experience. I will tell you more about that. My interests and expertise are in the psychology of relating. They stem from my PhD, where I look at the capacity to care within the intimate realm. In fact, I looked also at this thing called sexual boredom through the lens of the capacity to care and philosophical appraisal of postmodern approaches. So I look, my expertise is in psychology of relating. I take on an existential philosophy. I can tell you more about that too. And importantly, I blend that with positive psychology coaching, psychotherapy, and a very much an ethos of social justice and restorative practice. When I teach a module on psychology of relating, and I take students through this on level 6. I have been teaching, researching, and practicing for almost 20 years. And here on the right side of my screen, I'll just give you some example of what it means to be doing researching, teaching, and practice. Importantly to say is that in the School of Psychology at UEL, students are taught by experts in their field, in that we have research-informed teaching and teaching-informing research, as well as we apply our knowledge. So what you see here on the bottom, for example, is a program that I developed in 2016 and is now being incorporated in a number of secondary schools in Europe. And I call it the INEA program. You can see there, it's a program for resilience and well-being. And the letters contain the framework: new knowledge of myself, emotional agility, awareness of values and option, responding with growth in spite of. So this is an intervention that captures the best we can, the best we have in terms of psychological knowledge and psychological research to skill the participants with knowledge and also new habits that can help them develop a much better resilience and much better approach to decision making that leads to well-being and higher productivity. The other example, it is a work I have done in France following the Nice attack in 2017. And here we're looking at how do we use psychology of relating, essential philosophy, and psychology in general to create a sustainable prevention of youth radicalization. This is a 12-step program and is being applied as we speak. Here on the right is just an example of a book that captures that. It's a textbook for our students. And what I present here, it is a common picture of what it is to be a professor of psychology. My expertise is in applied psychology. Other expertise may include cognitive psychology or biological psychology, or may involve experimental psychology. There are a number of disciplines within psychology. The one that I like best personally is how do we use this knowledge that we acquire about the mind and the behavior how do we use that knowledge in order to address real life issues? And this is what students get excited about it, because they can, from the beginning, be part of projects and see hands-on how they can apply, make useful. So psychology, I think everybody should study psychology, if you ask me, but a little bit at least, because it helps us take more charge of our thoughts and our attitudes and our emotions, takes more charge of the decisions we make. It's putting us in charge of also of what is the person that I want to be and where do I want to be in the next 5 years, and own that freedom to choose as well as the responsibility that comes with it. So if we pay attention to what psychologists have to say, I think it echoes the earlier roots of psychology, that is the philosophical considerations all the way back to Aristotle. For instance, Aristotle, all that way back during the Greek history of the Hellenic thoughts in how to unpack a philosophy of how the human condition. So Aristotle said that something along the lines of, we first develop habits, then habits develop us. In other words, once we take charge of what habits we want to develop and the nurture and the discipline to prop it up, then we take charge of the way we develop ourselves. So we first form habits and then those habits form us. And that is psychology in a nutshell. And applied psychology is what facilitates this journey of developing new habits. Just trying to a little bit about psychology of UEL. I have been at UEL since 2004, when I came straight from my PhD studies, and it is something in a grit that this organization has that attracts people, that keeps them there. There is a genuine palatable sense of community. It's a sense of the community of academics, the community of students are intertwined with the local and global community. There's a community that takes on those things that matter, and they do it UEL style, they do it East London style, which is high quality and a lot of grit. Psychology was first taught at UEL in 1962, so that makes it a few decades back. And it was taught by a woman early on as part of the topics. And in 1965, Professor John Radford established the first department of psychology. In fact, John Radford was the person responsible for establishing A-level psychology in the UK and being the chair of the first committee that evaluated and inspected that. And in fact, he was also the author of the first textbook in A-level psychology. So we have roots here at UEL that really put us in a good position to shape the direction of travel, both in pedagogy and practice, for a number of decades. So that was 1962. During the 70s and the 80s, a number of core professional training in psychology were established. We have postgraduate training in every core area of psychology, from forensic psychology, occupational psychology, organizational psychology, counseling psychology, business psychology. These are the clinical psychology. These are the recognized ways to become a chartered psychologist. Here at UEL, we offer them. Importantly, because we started so earlier on and we had this grit of high quality with social justice, we were first in many aspects of the developments of the discipline. We are the thought leaders in a number of ways. For instance, we were the first in the UK to offer clinical psychology training. That program, which is now a professional doctorate program, sponsored by the NHS, still continues to flourish after that many years. And in fact, we have, for example, 33 seats, and it's over 900 students that apply for it. It's a highly sought program. So we can sustain our innovation. It's not just a one-off. In 2007, just to give you a more recent example, otherwise it'll be a long slide, we were the first in Europe to open and apply positive psychology program. This was the second in the world after the one that was opened by Martin Seligman in America. That put us, again, at the precipice of shaping the discipline. This program is continuing right now, and it is successful. It has over 300 students at any one time. We're also the first in London to offer BSc counseling. That is not just an academic degree, but also has professional accreditation from a BACP, which is the British Association of Counselling and Psychotherapists. This is an ambitious, extraordinary little program in that it involves 3 years of study full-time as any other BSc honors degree, which then equips people with students, trainees, equips trainees with the academic knowledge necessary to acquire a BSc honors degree, but it also does something else. It offers them the professional training and professional development and hands-on practice that allows them to register with the BACP as practitioners. It's a highly successful program. It attracts high-quality students. Age is not a matter. We have students who graduated that started with us in their early 20s, and a colleague of ours, a graduate of ours, I say colleague because he's working as a counselor now, he was 72 when he started the degree, and he continues to practice. Another example, just to give another flavor of what psychology at UEL is about, is research. More than that is how to apply research to address things that matter. We were the first in the UK for research impact. That is based on a national research excellence framework that all the university participate, and psychology at UEL was ranked first nationally across all the universities in the UK in the REF 2014 exercise. Therefore, we were seen to offer research that has an impact that was greater than Oxford University or Cambridge University or any other established universities. So research impact is something dear to us. We're the first in Europe to have an accredited program in terms of positive psychology coaching, and this is an exciting recent development. We are the first in Europe to integrate counseling and coaching, which is clearly a dominant aspect of where psychology is traveling today. And more than that is for that to have BACP accreditation. So people that are students that are taking this program, they will then qualify as chartered integrative counseling and coaching, which is a accreditation that's recognized across Europe. This is just a snapshot of what psychology at UEL is about in terms of leading the way for many decades. This, we can talk a little more later, gives you a flavor of the types of programs that we offer here. Importantly is to note that we have a blend of undergraduate programs with postgraduate programs. Currently, it's about 60% postgraduate provision to 40% undergraduate provision. We have a suite of BSc programs. You can see them there on my right. And we are planning to develop open three new BSc programs: cyber psychology, environmental psychology, and psychology of positive education very shortly in 2021. And here on the left, you get a sense of the postgraduate training. There are 2 key flagships that perhaps you already have gathered based on what I said. We have counseling and well-being. That's a school flagship. We have global reach and long-standing influence in the field of counseling and well-being. And as I mentioned earlier, research, and importantly, research that shapes and affects policymaking and improves the life of communities, with the communities, for the communities, is part of our second flagship. I want to just give you some example of what else we celebrate the psychology of UEL. And if I could sum up the main tenets of what makes us special, what makes us distinct, is that we have a long and established history of professional training. We are a vocational, we offer vocational training that are very deeply embedded in high academic rigor, and all our programs, apart from 2, which we have selected not to, but all our programs are accredited by a professional body. Therefore, it has high impact in the employability readiness of our students. So we are a professional training provider, and I believe our values and the way we proceed with that echoes the aspiration of our founders that many decades ago. And the aspiration is to offer high caliber professional training, career-ready programs to enable our students to go ahead and make a change and enter employability with a lot of potential, both in terms of what they can give back and the earning potential and the quality of life. We are pioneering. You've seen a number of examples in which way we pioneer. Because we are a large grouping of academics, circa 120 academics and circa 1,800 students, the people that teach our students, the academics that teach our students, are experts in their field, are accomplished practitioner or accomplished academics in their field. Industry and community connection. Not only that we have professional accreditation for the vast majority of our programs, we are deeply involved in our community, and it makes sense to do so. And I just want to give you some example of how we bring our students forward to be part of that connection. So here, this is Alison. Alison is a graduate, was a graduate in 2019. She graduated with a first class from our BSc Clinical and Community Psychology, and she was one of the 3 finalists for the very prestigious British Education Award. One of the factors that led her to be nominated, it is her part into the violent crime in the local area, and the multi-agency approach to try to tackle youth violence, try to tackle knife crime. And she had a very moving exhibition that brought together this agency. Extraordinary work. She's now looking to do a PhD with us. So when we have local agencies, or either in the private sector or in the public sector, coming to the School of Psychology, seeking our knowledge exchange, seeking our involvement, the first thing we do is we pair up students, able students, keen students with experts, and it always leads to something that is worthwhile talking about. Also, just another, if you like, affirmation of how we prepare our students for future careers and making an impact exactly where it matters. This is our Natalie. So Natalie Bailey was a graduate from our MA Counseling and Psychotherapy. And after a few years in practice, she was appointed as the first BME chair of the British Association for Counseling and Psychotherapy, the BACP, which accredits so many of our courses, now has a graduate of ours. But Natalie will take forward the UEL spirit as well as the social justice. Finally, I want to just give you a brief example of some other of the placement opportunities or community projects that we offer to the students. These come in 2 shapes, research internships or placements that are either work placement or are linked to a product in terms of, like I said earlier, to some projects, or they involve shadowing, which is there to capture certain skills and be facilitated to experience those skills. So for instance, we work with a number of charities, local charities in Newham and in near the vicinity. So YARS is based at Canada Water, is a youth charity, and has offered a number of research internships to our BSc students during summer of any levels. Newham CAMS, which is the part of the NHS that deals with children and families, are frequently coming to us for research evaluations, and students are part of it. And they are offering something that's very difficult to secure, is some of our students able to shadow clinicians to see them work hands-on. Thames Water has come recently to us to get our students involved in changing the behavior around the Walthamstow reservoirs. Safer London charity and so on, again, reaching to us. Psychology at UEL has a long history, has a very strong anchor in the local community as well as in the global community of academics. And I could say far more, I could say a lot more, but I would like to stop here if I may, and welcome your questions, and hopefully you have enjoyed the information that I provided.